Laminar flow in tubes. We mentioned earlier that flow in tubes is laminar for Rayleigh number less than 2300, and thus the flow is fully developed if the tube is sufficiently long relative to the entry length so that the entrance vectors are negligible. In this section we consider the steady laminar flow of an incompressible fluid with constant properties in the fully developed region of a straight circular tube. So this is your straight circular tube with the fully developed region. So this is the velocity profile. The tube radius is r, where small l represent the distance from this axis. V maximum is the maximum velocity. So in fully developed laminar flow, each fluid particle move at a constant axial velocity along a streamline, and the velocity profile Vr remains unchanged in the flow direction. This will remain unchanged in the flow direction. There is no motion in the radial direction, and thus the velocity component V in the direction normal to the flow is everywhere 0. There is no acceleration since the flow is steady. Now consider this small ring shaped element with dr at radius r with dx length, and it is oriented coaxially with the tube. So this is a ring shaped element which is cut into half. This is cut section. So this is dr, this is dx. The pressure force acting on submerged plane surface is the product of the pressure at the center of the surface and the surface area. So just take this small element. The pressure on this side is px, pressure on this side is px plus dx, and shear stress will act on the surface, because when you move away from the center, your viscous and shear force will come into play. So this shear stress on this surface will act in this direction, and because of no slip condition at the upper surface, the shear forces at the upper part of this ring will act in this direction, which is tau r plus dr. At this surface the radius is r, so your shear forces at inner surface is tau r. So a force balance on the volume element in the flow direction gives. So apply the force balance. Pressure is given, shear stress is given. Now this pressure is acting on this side, and you have to calculate the area of the ring, which is 2 pi r, which is the perimeter of the ring, multiply by this dr element, which is the area of the ring, into pressure. This is at the x, minus same px plus dx, plus your shear stress which is acting in this direction, multiply by this inner area of the ring, which is 2 pi r dx. This 2 pi r dx is the inner area, inner surface area of the ring, minus this stress, multiply by outer area of this ring. Now outer area of this ring is the 2 pi r into dx. Now this is equal to 0. It also means that your viscous force, this force, and pressure force, these are balancing each other. Now divide this equation by 2 pi r, 2 pi dr dx, you will get this equation. Taking limit dr tends to 0 and dx tends to 0, this will become dp by dx, and this will become dr tau by dr. This will become r into tau, and this is equal to 0. Now we know shear stress is equal to minus mu dv by dr. Put the value in this equation. On rearranging you will get this equation. Quantity dv by dr is negative in the tube flow. You can see the velocity is decreasing in the radial direction. So this dv by dr is negative, slope is negative. So this negative side is included in equation, because this quantity is negative, and negative multiplied by negative will become positive shear stress. We also know y is equal to r minus r. So r minus r is also equal to y. So you can replace here, instead of here dv by dr, you can write it this way. So this left hand side of equation is a function of r, and right hand side of equation is a function of x. The equality must hold for any value of r and x, and the equality of the form fr and gx means you can write this as a fr, you can write it as gx, and this can happen only if both fr and gx are equal to constant. If this is constant, it means your dp by dx is equal to a constant. Rearrange this equation and integrate this equation twice. You will get this equation. Velocity in radial direction is equal to 1 by 4 mu dp by dx plus c1 log r plus c2. Now you have to find the value of c1 and c2 constant. The velocity profile Vr is obtained by applying the boundary condition, which is del v by del r is equal to 0 at r is equal to 0, which means this is your velocity profile, and when your r is 0, if you take the slope at this point, it will come 0. Del v by del r at this point is equal to 0 because of the change in this curve, because of symmetry about the center line, and v is equal to 0 at the r is equal to 0, the no slip condition at the tube surface. So at this surface your velocity is equal to 0 because of no slip condition. So put this condition and this second condition in this equation, you will get this equation here. So this is a parabolic equation. It means velocity profile in a fully developed laminar flow is parabolic, with the maximum at center line and minimum at tube surface. If you put r is equal to 0, this value will be maximum, and if you put r is equal to r, this will cancel out and velocity becomes 0. So velocity is always positive, it can't be negative, but here we had negative sign. It means dp by dx must be also be negative, so that this negative and negative will cancel out to give a positive velocity. If dp by dx is negative, it means pressure must decrease in the flow direction because of viscous effect. We also know that mean velocity is equal to 2 by r square integral from 0 to r Vr dr. You can put velocity here to get the mean velocity. So this is Vr, which is mean velocity. When you put the value of Vr here, and after integrating and solving, you will get this. This is your mean velocity. If you compare this equation, equation 839 and equation 840, you will get a relation between Vr and mean velocity, that velocity in the radial direction is equal to twice the mean velocity into 1 minus r square by r square. In this equation, put r is equal to 0. R0 means at the center of the tube. So at the center of the tube, r is 0. Also we know at the center of the tube, the velocity is maximum when r is equal to 0. So v maximum become, when you put here 0, is equal to 2vm. So maximum velocity is equal to the mean velocity of the tube. Pressure drop, which is also quantity of interest in analysis of tube flow. Now we know dp by dx is equal to constant, and when you integrate it for x is equal to 0, where the pressure is P1, to x is equal to L, where pressure is say P2. So dp by dx is equal to P2 minus P1 by L is equal to minus del P by del L, where del P is equal to P1 minus P2. The pressure drop del P is a positive quantity and defined by this. So put this value of dp by dx here in this equation, you will get velocity, mean velocity in terms of pressure. If you replace r by diameter, that you will get del P is equal to 32 mu LVM by d square. This is the pressure drop for a pipe flow. Also from the fluid dynamics, we had known that pressure drop is equal to, in a pipe of length L, diameter d, is equal to FL by d, density Vm square by 2. So this is the one of the more equation, which is also known as Darcy equation. Here F is friction factor, also called Darcy friction factor. Now we have two equations. One is this del P, one is from fluid mechanics. These two equations must be equal. This must be equal to this. 45 and 45 equal. Equate this equation and you will get this relation. F is equal to 64 mu by density D into Vm, where this factor is your Reynolds number. So 64 by Reynolds number. This equation shows that in laminar flow the friction factor is a function of Reynolds number only and is independent of the roughness of the tube. So once pressure drop is available, the required pumping power is, work power is equal to, or you can say power for the pumping is equal to volume flow rate into pressure drop del P. Now for a specified flow rate, if its volume flow rate is fixed, the pressure drop and thus the required pumping power is proportional to length of the tube and viscosity of the fluid. If the volume flow rate is fixed, your pumping power and pressure drop both are proportional to the viscosity of the fluid. And temperature profile and the Nusselt number. In the analysis above, we have obtained the velocity profile for fully developed flow in circular tube from momentum balance applied on a volume element, and we had calculated friction factor and pressure drop. Now we will use energy equation by applying energy balance to a differential volume element to solve the temperature profile for the constant surface temperature and a constant surface heat flux cases. So this is your differential volume element with thickness. This is dx in the flow direction. So this is the mass rate, or you can say mCp dx flow into this direction. This is outflow from that direction, mCp tx plus dx, where Qr is the heat conduction at thickness dr and Qr plus dr is your heat outflow from this thickness. So we had conduction in the r direction, radial direction, while heat conduction in the x direction is assumed to be negligible. Also note that energy transfer is by mass in the x direction. This is your x direction. So apply energy balance of this element, you will get energy in mass energy out plus energy in mass energy out on this element of the shell. We know mass flow rate is equal to density into velocity into cross section area. Put this value here, which is this, and divide the whole equation by 2 pi r dr dx. You will get this equation here. Now this term will del t by del x and this term is del q by del r. On rearranging these two terms below here, you will get this equation. V del t by del x is equal to this. Now we know from the definition of conduction, the heat transfer, which is del q by del r, is equal to minus k into surface area, which in this case, this surface area, because heat is in radial direction, so we have to take the surface area which is perpendicular to this heat flow, which in this case is the area of this cylinder, which is 2 pi r dx. On solving, you will get this equation. Now replace this del q by del r in this equation, and from the definition of alpha is equal to k by density Cp, you will get this equation, which state that the rate of net energy transfer to the control volume by mass flow is equal to the net rate of heat conduction in the radial direction. We also know for constant surface heat flux, for fully developed flow in a circular pipe subjected to constant surface heat flux, this is the condition which we had previously derived. Now this del t by del x value, which is this, you can put in this equation by replacing this value in this equation and by using this relation that Vr is equal to 2Vm, which is relation of velocity and mean velocity. You will get this relation here. Now it is a second order differential equation with respect to r. Integrate twice with respect to r. When you integrate, you will get this equation with the two constants C1 and C2. The desired solution to this problem is obtained by boundary condition. We know del t by del x 0 at r is equal to 0, because of symmetry. So when your this is 0, when your r is 0 means that the center of tube del t by del x 0, because this slope here you can see it is 0. We also know temperature is the surface temperature when r is equal to r. So putting this boundary equation in this, you will eliminate C1 to C2. You will get this equation. The bulk mean temperature, which is Tm, is obtained by substituting the velocity and temperature profile relation in this equation, which is mean temperature, which is a function of temperature and velocity. On performing integration, you will get this equation, which is mean temperature. We know this is the heat flux. Now put the value here, and on solving, these two terms will cancel out. You will get H is equal to 4.36 K by D, and we know Nusselt number is equal to HD upon K, which is equal to 4.36 in this case. Circular tube laminar, when your flux is equal to constant, your Nusselt number is equal to 4.36. Therefore, for fully developed laminar flow in circular tube subjected to constant surface heat flux, the Nusselt number is a constant. So it does not depend on Raund number, neither do it depend on Prandtl number. It's a constant value. Now constant surface temperature. A similar analysis can be performed for fully developed laminar flow in a circular tube. For the case of constant temperature Ts, you can use the relation. The solution procedure in this case is more complex. It requires iteration, but the Nusselt number obtained is equally simple. That is HD upon K is equal to 3.66. Now note that in case of constant surface temperature, both friction factor and heat transfer coefficient remain constant in fully developed region. For laminar flow, the effect of surface roughness on the friction factor and the heat transfer coefficient is negligible. Laminar flow in non-circular tubes, the friction factor F, Nusselt number relations are given in this table. So this is for non-circular tubes. Nusselt number is given at temperature constant and when your heat flux is constant, and friction factor is given, where dH is your hydraulic diameter, which is 4AC upon P, and while calculating Raund number you have to use dH, hydraulic diameter. Also while calculating Nusselt number you have to use hydraulic diameter in case of non-circular pipes. Developing laminar flow in the entrance region. For a circular tube of length L subjected to constant surface temperature, the average Nusselt number for the thermal entrance region can be determined from entry region laminar, which is equal to Nusselt is equal to 3.66 plus this. Now when your length tends to infinity, this Nusselt number become is equal to 3.66. If you put infinity here, this will be same as in this case. When the difference between surface and fluid temperature is large, it may be necessary to count for the variation of viscosity with temperature. The average Nusselt number for developing laminar flow in circular tube can be determined from this relation, where mu b is your viscosity at the bulk mean fluid temperature, and mu s, except mu s, all the parameters are taken at bulk mean temperature. The average Nusselt number for the thermal entrance region of flow between isothermal parallel plates of length is expressed as this, where dH is hydraulic diameter, which is twice the spacing of plates. This relation can be used for Raund number less than 2800, means for laminar region, for entry region also. Flow of oil in a pipeline through a lake. Consider the flow of oil at 20 degrees Celsius in a 30 centimeter diameter pipe at an average velocity of 2 meters per second. A 200 meter long section of the pipeline passes through the icy water of a lake at 0 degrees Celsius. Measurements indicate that the surface temperature of pipe is nearly 0 degrees Celsius. Disregarding the thermal resistance of pipe material, determine the temperature of the oil when the pipe leaves the lake, the rate of heat transfer from the oil, the pumping power required to overcome the pressure loss and to maintain the flow of the oil in pipe. So we know that the exit temperature of oil, and thus we cannot determine the bulk mean temperature, which is the temperature at which the properties of oil are to be evaluated. So mean temperature of the oil at the inlet is 20. So we will take this for the properties of the oil at 20 degrees Celsius. The property of oil is density is this: thermoconductivity, viscosity, specific heat and Prandtl number. The Reynolds number is equal to Vmdh by viscosity. The average velocity of oil is given 2 meter per second. So Reynolds number is equal to 666, which is less than the critical Reynolds number, which is 2300. It means the flow is laminar and thermal entry length in this case is roughly LT is equal to 0.05 Reynolds Prandtl D, which is equal to approximately very large compared to the pipe length. So this means the flow haven't developed fully. So we assume thermal developing flow and determine the Nusselt number from this equation, which is for developing laminar flow in the entrance region, which is this value here. Dia pipe is given 0.3 meter and length is 200 meter. Your Nusselt number is 37 from here. So this is your heat transfer coefficient, which is 18 watt per meter square degree Celsius. AS is your area of pipe, which is perimeter into length of pipe, which is 188.5 meter square. Mass rate is equal to density into AC into Vm, that is velocity of the fluid, mean velocity which is given. So this is mass flow rate. We can determine the exit temperature of oil from this equation. Put the value of H, AS, mass rate. The oil temperature is 19.71. So drop in oil temperature is 0.29 degrees Celsius as it crosses the lake. The logarithm mean temperature difference and the rate of heat loss from the oil are, that is delta T log in mean temperature, which is this, where Ts is the surface temperature, which is 0, Ti is inlet temperature for oil, T exit we had calculated, this is minus 19.85 degrees Celsius. So heat transfer is equal to this H into area of surface of the pipe into logarithm mean temperature difference. On calculation you will get this value. It means oil will lose 67.4 kilowatt heat. The laminar flow of oil is hydrodynamically developed, therefore friction factor is 64 by Reynolds number. Pressure drop is equal to friction factor into L by D into density Vm square by 2, which is this one. Pumping power required is equal to mass rate into pressure difference, which is 16.1 kilowatt. So we need 16.1 kilowatt pump just to overcome the friction in the pipe as the oil flows in the 200 meter long pipe through the lake. Turbulent flow in pipes. We mentioned earlier that flow in smooth tubes is fully turbulent for Reynolds number greater than 10,000. Turbulent flow is commonly utilized in practice because of higher heat transfer coefficient associated with it. Most correlation for friction and heat transfer coefficient in turbulent flow are based on experiment studies. For smooth tubes, friction factor is this relation, and this is valid for this Reynolds number. Now if you know the friction factor from Chilton-Colburn analogy, you can find Nusselt number, which is this. Once the friction factor is available, this equation can be used conveniently to evaluate Nusselt number for both smooth and rough pipes. For fully developed turbulent flow in smooth pipe, a simple correlation for the Nusselt number can be obtained by substituting the simple power relation, which is this friction factor, and Nusselt number is equal to this. So when you put this friction factor here, you will get this relation, which is valid for Reynolds number greater than 10,000 and Prandtl number for this range. This equation is known as Colburn equation. The accuracy of this equation can be improved by modifying it, as you can use n is equal to 0.4 here instead of n 0.33 for heating and 0.3 for cooling of the fluid flowing through the tube. So the above equation will give error which is near to the 25%. So we can use these equations which are more complex but their error is less than 10% for this range of Prandtl number and Reynolds number. So these are more relations which are valid for liquid metal, because liquid metal Prandtl number is low. So between this range, when your surface temperature is constant, this is the Nusselt number. When your heat flux is constant, this is the number. Rough surface, any irregularity or roughness on surface disturbs the laminar sublayer and affects the flow. Therefore, unlike laminar flow, the friction factor and convexity coefficient in turbulent flow are strong function of surface roughness. So this is your friction factor, and this E by D represents relative roughness. So you can see this is the Colebrook expression which is used to find the friction factor. Also, there for Moody chart given, it presents the friction factor for a pipe flow as a function of Reynolds number over a wide range. For smooth tube, the arrangement between Petokov and Colebrook equation is very good. So this is your relative roughness versus friction factor. The friction factor is minimum for smooth pipe and increase with roughness. You can see as E by L ratio increase, your friction factor also increase. So this table represents equivalence reference value for some commercial pipes. You can see this is glass plastic. For the pipe, you have the surface roughness is given. For different material of pipe, the surface roughness is given. The Colebrook equation is implicit of F. You can see this F factor is on both the sides. So it is difficult to solve this equation. You need number of iterations before getting a result for this F. And thus the determination of friction factor requires tedious iterative process unless an equation solver is used. So a better is your S.E. Haaland in 1983 produced this equation which is much better than the Colebrook equation. The results obtained from this relation are within 2% of those obtained from Colebrook equation, and we recommend using this relation rather than Moody chart to avoid reading errors. In turbulent flow, wall roughening increase the heat transfer coefficient H by a factor of 2 or more. The convection heat transfer coefficient for rough tubes can be calculated approximately from the Nusselt number relation. So if you know the friction factor, you can find Nusselt number from this equation. Turbulent flow in non-circular pipes. The velocity and temperature profile in turbulent flow are nearly straight lines in the core region, and any significant velocity and temperature gradients occur in the viscous sublayer. So this is your small layer. In this layer there are velocity gradient, but above you can see the velocity profile is almost constant. So therefore pressure drop and heat transfer characteristics of turbulent flow in tubes are dominated by very thin viscous sublayer next to the wall, this layer, and the shape of the core region is not of much significance. Consequently, the turbulent flow relations given above for circular tubes can also be used for non-circular tubes with reasonable accuracy by replacing the diameter d in the evaluation of Reynolds number by the hydraulic diameter dh, which is equal to 4 AC by P, flow through tube endless. Some simple heat transfer equipment consist of two concentric tubes and are properly called double tube heat exchanger. In such device, one fluid flows through the tube while the other flows through the annulus space between these two tubes. The Guarny differential equation for both flows are identical. Therefore, steady laminar flow through annulus can be studied analytically by using suitable boundary conditions. Consider a concentric annulus of inner dia di and outer dia d0. The hydraulic diameter of endless is dH is equal to 4 AC by P, where AC is your cross section area, which is outer area, this pipe of D0 diameter, this area minus inner pipe diameter, this area of inner pipe, which is the area of this annulus section, which is this, divided by perimeter. Now in case of perimeter, we have to take both the perimeter, inner perimeter as well as outer perimeter. Now hydraulic diameter in this case is D0 minus Di. Annular flow is associated with the two Nusselt number for inner tube surface, which is this one, and Nusselt number on the outer tube surface. So the Nusselt number for fully developed laminar flow with one surface isothermal and other adiabatic are given in this table. So this is Nusselt number for fully developed flow in annulus pipe with one surface isothermal. This is inner Nusselt number, this is outer Nusselt number. For fully developed turbulent flow, the inner and outer convection coefficients are approximately equal to each other, and the tube annulus can be treated as a non-circular duct with a hydraulic diameter of D0 minus Di. The Nusselt number in this case can be determined from a suitable turbulent flow relations such as this equation. To improve the accuracy of Nusselt number obtained from these relations for annular flow, Petkov and Roizen recommend multiplying them by the following correction factor when one of the tube wall is adiabatic and heat transfer is through the other wall. This is relation for inner and this is for outer. So this relation, inner means for the inner Nusselt number and this is for the outer Nusselt number. Heat transfer enhancement. Tubes with rough surface have much higher heat transfer coefficient than tubes with smooth surface. Therefore, tube surface are often intentionally roughened, corrugated and finned in order to enhance the convection heat transfer coefficient. You can see there inside tube you have finned surface, rough surface. So they will increase the heat transfer as much as by 4%. Roughening the surface of course also increase the friction factor and does power requirement for the pump. So this is up to here about the internal force convection. Like this video, subscribe this channel, and thank you for watching this video.